Keegan. Shout out Keegan from Marzocco, Midwest. He did an amazing job showing me and my brother Adam how to diagnose and fix many different types of Marzocco and other machines.
Welcome back, everybody.
Episode 13 this time.
Episode 13 this time. Yeah. I was about to say the episode number, and then I was like, do I actually know?
Maybe I should do it from here on out.
Maybe. Let's have some coffee.
Please.
Here, wait, give me... It's just so hard to reach with all this stuff.
This is like a set. You can't touch anything.
Yeah, I know.
This is all fake. This is actually...
What crap is this?
Huge studio.
What's in this mug already?
Oh, shoot. Hold on. I was drinking some coffee.
All right.
It's actually the same coffee, so you... I'll be right back.
I would rinse that.
I don't want to taint.
No,
it's a different grind size. I have to have a full experience.
Yeah, and also you don't want to do that on camera. The people would know. You outed yourself, and they would watch you dump your fresh coffee on top of your old coffee, and then they'd lose respect for you.
They wouldn't know if you didn't say anything, Nick.
Well,
all right, give us a...
Of course I'm going to say something. That's going to be really hot in your hand, isn't it?
I love the pain.
No, but that seems... like, why did you hold it like that?
For the first second, it was cold, and then it was like, wow, this is nice and warm, and then it really hurt.
Yeah, so. It's the wrong kind of mug to be holding like that.
I love that mug,
I'm just gonna set that
I'm not
there.
a huge fan of enamel. I do like how quickly the coffee cools in it, though, because it does not keep its temperature.
Well, I feel like my main issue with those mugs is that the entire mug gets really hot. Like, the temperature is distributed through it very evenly, so, like, the rim is always really hot on a mug like that.
Yeah, you don't want to burn your lips.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Because I have a couple from some places for camping and stuff. But...
Keep my
sorry, did I
here.
not put that in the right spot?
No, that's all right. I just need my coffee a little more accessible to me.
Yeah. Sounds good.
You know how it is.
All right. Well, Jack, you just got back from Chicago.
I did. I like Chicago.
I haven't heard anything about this.
Yeah. So recently, if you haven't heard, which I'm not like super advertising it, but anyway, I posted maybe on my Instagram. I don't know. Anyway, I was down in Chicago for a Marzocco technical training with Keegan. Shout out Keegan from Marzocco, Midwest. He did an amazing job showing me and my brother Adam how to diagnose and fix many different types of Marzocco and other machines. So
yeah,
he had several machines in his shop, which I do gotta say his like office space that he shares with another guy who works there, who's head of sales in that region, because I think he's head of technical support, and the other guy's head of sales. Their office space was like super sweet. It was in this building, old brick building. What was it called? Bridgeport Art Center. Really cool. It was a very nice museum in there. Great cafe. Shout out Base Cafe. I think it's spelled 8A5E, but it looks like the word base. 8A5E. If I find them, I'll tag them in this.
Is that something to do with the address or something?
I don't think
Is
so.
there maybe a reason they incorporate 8 and a 5?
If you know, let us know.
Okay.
But great coffee there, great people. Got to chat with the owner there. It was great. Okay, back to their little office studio space. It was pretty sweet. They had a bunch of old equipment, new equipment. Have an awesome lever espresso machine there, the leva. That was super fun to brew on. That was we came in and brewed some espresso to drink before we got started on the class.
Is that La Marzocco's cafe used lever machine that you're talking about?
Yeah, it's
it's
new.
The huge
levers.
It's new. So it's not like an older
No, it's a new machine.
Okay.
It's got a little more features to it that you would expect from a newer espresso machine, but it's got that classic, really tall lever action espresso, which is super sweet. Got pre-infusion and all that. So
is that direct lever or spring lever? Do you know?
No idea. What does that mean?
To my a direct lever is you're pulling down on this lever and it's actively pushing the water through the shot. Where a spring lever machine is you basically pull it down, and upon releasing it loads a spring.
So it's a little bit of both. So you first do the pre-infusion. So you pick up the handle and then you set to whatever. There's a couple like notches you can set to what pressure you want to do.
Okay.
So you select one of the notches, and then you pull down and you hold down until it starts brewing a little bit for the pre-infusion, and then you let go of the handle, and then you bring it back up. So at that point, I had loaded a spring, and it's slowly pushing.
So that's a spring. Yeah. Sounds like a spring. Cool.
But super delicious espresso. So much fun to use. I don't know how that would work like in a cafe setting, because there's a way to do it wrong where you can let go and it could hit you in the face, because the lever's so big and it goes right underneath where your chin is.
Get an
like,
uppercut.
while you're watching the shot. Yeah, that could if you do it wrong, knock your jaw off. It's got some pressure, but there's like safeguards in place. I just know that there's a way that somebody could do it wrong and seriously injure themselves. But beautiful machine, beautiful space. They had a ton of like cool merch, because obviously they work there. So it's cool to see. So first part of the class, it was a 2-day class in Chicago. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'd love some La Marzocco merch.
I know. They gave me a shirt and a little Strata pin to go on my jacket. That was sweet.
That's cool. Everybody's got cool La Marzocco merch, like hats, shirts. Ben Martin has a La Marzocco beanie, doesn't he? I feel like he wears that all the time.
Yeah. But yeah,
sick.
Cool space. And so it was a 2-day technical training in Chicago where we first walked through the history of espresso machines and La Marzocco. So like the first, actually, let me pull up some notes here, because I had some.
Did you learn about Gaggia?
One of the machines that they mentioned, I believe, was a Gaggia.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go through. I had some cool notes.
Oh man, I can't remember his first name. I think it might have been. It started with an A. Gaggia was the first person to actually use pressure to extract espresso.
Yeah. All right. So many notes. Okay. So yeah, we learned about like the history of espresso machines, which was very cool. So like the first espresso machines were just basically just big tower, vertically stacked boilers that would just not use any pressure besides, pressure from heat to brew. So it's like maybe 1.5 bars for brewing. So it's very slow brew, very coarse grind. So not quite true espresso. And then La Marzocco was one of the companies who kind of did pioneer that having a pump and having that whole pressure system. There were several other companies. It's not like they were the first ones to do it, but they were ones to very popularize it for sure. And then one cool thing I learned was that, and I probably knew this, but like crema in your espresso is just carbon dioxide emulsified, which is very cool to like visualize and know exactly what that is, why it's there. And like crema didn't exist before those 9-bar espresso machines. It was just, very thick, very concentrated coffee. Wasn't really espresso. But that was really cool to learn, and how all of those machines came to be. I'm going to take a sip of this coffee here. I've got more to jump into, but I don't want to
What are we drinking?
lost. So we are drinking delicious Tanzania Luyombe Peaberry. Super, super good coffee. Notes are caramel, strawberry, and something pineapple.
Nice.
Yeah. So very
Actually,
tropical. Sweet.
Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you.
I'll just
Very tropical, very sweet. Actually had this coffee today up at Hive. They have it on Slow Bar.
Yeah, they love that. I noticed they're like always ordering that 5-pound bags, 12-ounce bags. So,
yeah, it's interesting to me. Sometimes I feel like when I have it, it's kind of a little bit more vegetal or brothy. I feel like this brew's a little sweeter. I feel like on pour over more, it can be kind of brothy, not in a bad way, but like kind of reminding me of vegetable stock. I feel like some like.
I know what you mean, but I feel like to people listening, that's gonna sound horrible.
It's gonna sound
but
horrible.
It's not.
But I feel like if you've had enough coffees, you know that like I feel like half the coffees that you drink can actually taste like vegetables.
Yeah, I mean,
like depending on how you have them.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's like really good vegetables out there.
No,
vegetables
yeah, like
there's come on.
Yeah, vegetables are good, guys.
If you think vegetables are bad, you're just not seasoning or cooking your food properly. Like, come on.
Come on. Are you trying to die?
I'm not just eating them. I'm just not eating them because they're good for me. I'm eating because they taste good. Come on.
Yeah.
Speaking of food, got some tacos at, So I did get tacos in Chicago. Keegan dropped us by, or had us stop by a taco place for our lunch break. Super good tacos. I don't remember what it was called.
Ooh.
But that got me thinking, like, we didn't really have good tacos in Traverse City, but I did hear that, Daniel from Full Send Ramen is open a taco truck.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was already open. So I stopped by there the other day.
How was it?
So good.
I bet.
So delicious. They have a little, like, Nacho Libre painted on the side of the food truck.
Yeah.
So good. What's it called?
Somewhere over the Trombo.
Trompo.
I don't know how to... Trombo?
Trompo? What does that mean?
I think it's a style of like the pork on like the spiral
The shawarma.
And you like cut it off.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it.
No, I don't.
He like cuts it off the meat cone.
If you go there, if you are listening to this and you live in Traverse City, if you go to this place,
it's just outside
slot?
the coin slot with the full
also get some tacos, play some arcade games. It's a great time. But get the cheesy trompo. That's the best one. It's got like,
what kind of cheese are we talking?
So it's got like, well, it's just like with a Chihuahua cheese or whatever you call that. It's always weird. I see that, like, why are they putting Chihuahua in a taco? But
I don't think it's Chihuahua.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't think it's the dog, but I think it's Chihuahua.
It's cheese.
It's spelled Chihuahua.
It's not a dog.
Somebody tell us if we're wrong. If it's not pronounced Chihuahua, but I thought it was.
It looks the same. I would assume it's spelled the same. Anyway, it was like there, but it was at the bottom. So it's like melted at the bottom.
Nice.
It's like every bite has cheese in it, and then it's got the El Pastor, and then like pineapple on top.
Oh,
you'd be like, pineapple on pizza, weird, but like even if you don't like pineapple on pizza, this was really good.
Pineapples grow in South Central America. Okay, people,
come on.
Pizza is from Italy.
Pizza does
it's
not
different.
grow
it's just totally
in
different.
South Central America.
It doesn't. Pizza doesn't grow there naturally.
What are your thoughts on pineapple on pizza?
Honestly, sometimes it's good.
I've tasted it.
It's like, it's not traditional, but I think it has like an interesting acidity, texture, juiciness. I especially like it, and this is hardly pizza, but like if you get like a barbecue chicken pizza, so like barbecue sauce, grilled chicken, like onions, pineapple. Yeah. That's fire.
Yeah. I am not offended by it. No. I've tasted it and it's good.
People are dramatic.
I hardly ever find myself in a scenario where I'm like, I want pineapple pizza over ham and tomato or like pepperoni.
Sure.
Meat lovers or something. So
exactly.
It's good, but it's like all the other kind of pizzas are better, I think.
For the most part, yeah. I just don't get why people have to be so dramatic about things. Like, it's like, chill out. Okay, it's not that bad.
There's more important things to be dramatic about, like chocolate in your coffee.
And there are wars, too. So spend your time doing something else.
Pulling out the war card
I'm just
early,
saying.
huh? We're only 12 minutes in. Crazy. All right, well, what was talking about? It's delicious. Trompo is good.
Yeah, you were talking about the tacos.
I ate 4 tacos.
Your recommendation in Chicago. Just wander around the streets until you find a taco place. It might be what Jack's talking about. Yeah. He cannot tell you the exact
place. It was
place.
cool inside. They had a wall of like old license plates. I'm not good with that kind of stuff. I have a picture of it probably.
Was it right near the training facility?
Yeah, we drove there, but it was close. A couple minute drive.
Okay. So if you really want to find it, you can.
Yeah.
By that information.
Bridgeport Art Center. I know that's where the training facility was at.
Couple minute drive from Bridgeport Art Center.
There's probably a
license plates on the wall. Cool inside. Good tacos.
Yeah, if you can find it for us, do a little bit of internet sleuthing. Just drop it in the comments. I love to go there again. Although I could probably do that myself. But
no, but you do it, please.
Why would I?
Yeah, why would he? You do it.
I got things to do.
Yeah, he's a busy man.
Busy.
Okay.
Marzocco.
So you had some good food. Okay, I'm curious, what is maybe something that like kind of surprised you, like something that was cool to learn that maybe surprised you or changed something that you thought you knew? Kind of.
I would say what surprised me is like how, and it's actually not, but how straightforward espresso machines are, and especially this class was. Keegan is a great teacher to kind of like walk you through exactly what happens as the electricity comes from the wall to your machine, where it goes from there, because obviously that's important to know, because if something goes wrong, you know how to follow that trail of where is this going. And same for like the water and the drain lines. The water comes in here, it's splits off here. It's got an electronic valve here. It's got this here. So like if something goes wrong, water's not coming out, you can follow that path and be like, okay, this could be failing. Let me test that, or that could be failing. But like there's a lot to it, and it is complex, but it is more straightforward than I thought. So it was a lot of fun to learn about.
They're low-key pretty simple.
Yeah. But I mean, that's
especially the ones with less computer parts in them.
Yeah, the old ones are pretty simple, like the Lineas.
But even like the Strata MP that we have at West.
Yeah, I love that machine.
I do too. What kind of machine were you working on for the most part?
We're working on a KB90, which I love. I'm going to talk about that for a little bit.
I don't know this machine really.
So it's really cool. They have naming. They name their machines after different people who worked or who either founded or worked in the early days of La Marzocco. So
cool.
stands for somebody's name that I do not remember. But
is it an Italian name?
Yes, it is. And also 90 stands for their 90th anniversary, which is pretty cool. Basically, this machine is a different machine with a different body kit on it, but it's got a little more like fancy electronic going on. So instead of your traditional, like you put your portafilter in and you lock it in place, it's a straight in
like
with
the
a
new
piston.
Strata.
Yeah, like the Strata X.
Okay.
It's a straight in, and it has like a piston that clamps it in place. So saves your arm a little bit, and also can save your gaskets. They last a little longer because you're not wrenching them out.
Well, when was this machine developed? Do you know? Like,
that's a good.
Is this like
no idea.
It's a newer
The KB90
style though?
is newer, but they have newer. Like the Strata X is their newest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Strata X was this year, like April was launched at Expo. But is this probably like last couple of years the KB90 came out?
Yeah, within the last 5 years at least.
Because I'd never even heard of anything about straight in portafilters until the Strata X.
Yeah, it's a very new thing, but it's it's pretty nice. That being said, there is a little bit more electronics going on, so you have a little more risk of failures that you might not know how to diagnose going on. But since it's La Marzocco, they have plenty of documentation, and obviously I've hands-on worked with one and diagnosed several problems with it. So,
does it have paddles or is it like buttons?
Buttons. Yeah, you got a couple, single, double, and then one cool thing about it is because it's got that straight in portafilter, so that it has to lock in, it's able to tell whether or not there's a portafilter in there every time. So as soon as you take your coffee out, when you're knocking out your portafilter, it's doing it what's called a steam flush. So it directs some of the. It's actually really, really fascinating to learn about how they did it. They could do it where it's called a steam flush, where I've already said that. You have steam come out to clean the group head, which is a little more pressurized, so you get a little better cleaning in there. But it's very cool to see the internals and how they made that work in such a way without having 800 extra valves in there to direct water.
Is there just like a three-way valve?
Yeah, there's a three-way valve that that's where your hot water comes out for your espresso, right? But then if that valve is closed and the steam valve is open, it actually travels backwards out of that valve to come out of the group head the other direction, because it's basically a two-way valve with an offshoot that's for back flushing. Because
there's a back. Okay, so my understanding is that there is, when a machine back flushes, there's a. I think is it a three-way valve if it has like
it's a
options?
three-way solenoid is what it is. So it's controlled by electromagnet.
On a standard machine, it'll go boiler to group head, and then when that is off, it'll go group head to back flush.
Yes, down to the drain.
And so, is this incorporating another input on that?
No,
same
it's
system.
Still the three, but the way that it works is that because of and now I'm kind of losing it here, but like instead of back flushing out the drain, which was what would happen, which is why it's important to clean your back flush valves with Cafisa, because when that valve is closed during brewing or after you're done brewing, it closes, coffee gets stuck up inside that back flush valve. That's why it's important to clean that. But the way that it does it is that there's like another splitter as it's going down to the drain where the steam comes in, but it only comes in when that valve is closed, so you're not getting coffee grounds into your steam boiler. I feel like
so there's another valve That's along the backflow line
Yeah.
that allows steam to come from the backflow into the... Cool. Well, that's cool. So it automatically senses when you take out the portafilter, purges that, cleans it for you, and so then it's just ready to go back in.
It was cool because like they obviously added this for a number of reasons. The straight-in portafilter would you save your shoulder a little bit for sure, especially doing that hundreds of times a day.
Shoulder, elbow, wrist. There's a lot of associated like.
It was cool because they didn't just stop there. They were like, okay, well, since now that we have this whole feature, we can sense when a portafilter's in there. So why not automatically clean out the group head? Like, that's pretty smart, and
I mean,
cool to see.
That's just one thing to like speed up.
Yeah.
I mean, it
anything
takes,
that can speed up that workflow.
5 seconds, but 5 seconds adds up.
Yeah, you know how nice it is when you have something that does something automatically. You take your thing out to go clean it, and you come back, you're ready to brew another shot. Like you don't even have to. If you just do a dry wipe on your portafilter, you could just knock it and start grinding instead of having to make sure you do a whole rinse and whatever that is. So. It's small things, but it's nice. It's nice.
That's cool. Huh.
One other cool thing I learned was that there's a little tidbit of kind of why the specialty coffee industry took off when it did, like around like late like 90s, early 2000s, when it like really started to take off was partially due to Starbucks actually. They had. Before then, Starbucks used La Marzocco machines in every cafe. So huge business for La Marzocco, right? And they decided they were working on a deal. I don't know the exact specifics, but they dropped La Marzocco, sold all of the machines. So that means there's a bunch of really affordably priced La Marzocco Lineas on the market that they're trying to get rid of for like a very, very low price. So a ton of people started just getting them for their house maybe, or looking to start a cafe, a very, very great machine at a very great price point. Those kind of like flooded the market, so a lot of people could jump on that and get hands-on with it. Was, I think, a small part, but definitely part of why specialty coffee got kick-started in the first place.
Huh, that's cool.
More people have access to this type of thing.
Well, and places like Counterculture, right? They've been using La Marzoccos since the 90s.
Yeah, they've been around for 30 years.
And I bet that's probably why.
We were drinking Counterculture when we were there.
Yeah?
That's great. Yeah. Had that in the old hopper of the Swan grinder.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. Well, so did you get to mess around with the Swan grinders at all?
I love that thing.
Do you?
So nice. Quiet. It's got and one thing it's very nice about machines like that are like more horizontal rather than vertical is that your motor is separated from your burrs, so you don't get that heat transfer between your burrs and your motor. It just has like a belt that turns the burrs.
Nice. So they work a similar way to the Chiato. Yeah. Probably without backspin.
A lot quieter. No backspin, but very, very little retention. They said he tested it out like over months of use. They had gathered all of the retention from the burrs together and it was less than a gram.
That's
which
crazy.
Is insane.
That is crazy.
Yeah, very cool.
Those burrs were probably well seasoned. They probably seasoned the burrs pretty well. Huh. That's cool.
And those also have a grind by weight attachment as well. Or that was a production unit, so it didn't have it. But the ones you can order now do have a grind by weight scale built in.
Nice.
Pretty sweet. So also the KB90 I was talking about that we were working on also had scales in the deck, which was sweet.
Yep. Just another thing.
And with customizing that machine, it's like ultra customizable, but you can dial in a recipe where you can either have it where you can have the scales on the deck weigh your portafilter each time and calculate exactly how many grams of water to push through. You can do either that, or you can use the flow meter that's built in, which has like a little like plastic dial that spins, and it counts how many times that spins when you brew a shot. And then so it's like maybe spins 300, 400 times. So you can have it do that exact same thing again. Or if you want like even more precise, use the built-in scale, obviously, to brew it to exact weights.
So you're telling me like instead of, I mean, obviously like if you're pairing that with a Swan grinder, right, it's going to be very, very consistent.
Yeah.
But outside of that consistency, it can, rather than relying on the grinder to be consistent, it can adapt the output of the shot to fit how much.
Of course, you have to weigh the portafilter on the espresso machine deck because it has to be able to communicate that to each other. But
That's
which I
interesting,
also I'm wondering that may be why, you know, that new Akaya scale that came out. What is that one called? Do you remember?
I don't.
The Umbra or something like that.
Something.
But you know how that one doesn't have a display. And
Yeah.
communicate. I
Which
wonder
is
if
very
they'll
weird.
have built-in espresso machine communication so that you could,
Maybe.
as you're grinding your shot, you're weighing it. It could tell the espresso machine, okay, they have this many grams in here. You need to adjust your recipe this way. So you can be adjusting your recipes for dialing in on the fly, and your espresso machine is making it so you keep that exact same
Consistent ratio.
which is it's cool. I don't know why you would do that in practice, but
well, if you're just a fraction of a gram off, right, and it can always compensate for that, then your end shot is going to maybe vary a little bit by how much it is.
Yeah.
But it's always going to taste the same.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
It was cool because like most machines that are just rudimentary, basic, they'll have, you can time your shots for repeatability, but that's it. And we all know like espresso grind changes all the time. Water flow can change all the time. So you can't rely based on time alone. But this KB90 has like 3 options for timing your shots, essentially. It doesn't use a timer. You probably could if you wanted to, but that's like the most inaccurate way of doing it. One way is utilize the built-in flow meter, which accurately can see how much water is going through your group head, and then time it based on how many cycles that's gone through. So it's definitely more accurate than just a seconds counter. Or you can do the, it's like I'm going to sneeze here. So if I duck away, that's why.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Don't do it again.
I hope I won't. Sometimes I sneeze twice in a row.
Oh, I always go twice in a row.
So if I step away for a second, I already feel like I'm on. So talking about the KB90 and the shoot.
It's okay. It's okay. Oh.
That was a good one. That was a good one. I think I'm done.
How's your nasal passage? Nice and clear?
Could be better.
Well,
It's not
could be
bad.
better.
Not bad. A great audio clip there for our listeners.
Yeah.
See what it sounds like.
Dude, you look like you're about to
nasal
sneeze
passage.
16 more
I
times.
am not.
What's going on?
So I don't know if everyone knows this, but I developed a green coffee allergy. At least I believe so. Which,
and this house is full of green coffee.
well, no, I just, people sneeze. It just happens. But I don't sneeze that
Amen.
often. I don't have allergies or anything like that. As soon as I go into the roastery and we're moving around green coffee or moving around anything, because dust settles on everything, I just start sneezing like crazy. It's bad. It sucks because I love roasting coffee, but
I wonder do you think it's an association with all green coffee? Or do you think it's a specific, like maybe the bags or the specific types of dust? Maybe it's country specific.
Could be. I've never tested that. I know it's not the jute bags because I know that those obviously can be dangerous to breathe in those fibers because you can collect those in your lungs and that's not good for you. But I have tested it where moving around green coffee in the buckets, aside from the jute bags, does have the same effect on me.
Regardless of origin?
I don't know.
Maybe specific
a lot
varietals?
Of maybe it was. Maybe it's Guatemalan green coffee dust that really gets to me.
It's definitely not because we have none of that in the roastery right now.
No, we just.
Oh, we
there's
do have
probably
the Union.
some.
The Union Cantonelle.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's also gone now. I use it all.
Rest in peace. Fly high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, KB90 was a really cool machine to tinker with. He had us go through first day. It was just learning history, learning about the brew system, learning about the steam system, all that kind of stuff. The second day was installing a machine, which is super easy because they ship these in such a way where you literally plug and play. Obviously, it's not that simple. You got to connect the water and make sure. But that's really it. You make sure it's wired properly. You plug it under the wall. You connect it to your water supply. You connect the drain line, and then you just turn it on and make sure it works. You also have to bleed the groups as well because it has what's called a saturated group, where the steam tank has like a fill level probe that's able to tell how much water's in there. It's able to tell the solenoid when to open, when to close, kind of a thing. But the brew tank is completely full. So one thing you have to do to make sure there's no excess air or excess pressure in the brew tank is there's a little hex key, like set screw in the top of the group head. You have to just loosen the first time you plug it in, and water will just come out. So you're bleeding the group head, removing all the air, and then you tighten it down from then on.
Out of where?
At the top of the group head.
Is that...
You take the group cap off, and you unscrew, and a little bit of water comes out for the first time installing a machine, and then you tighten that right down. So that means there's no air in there, because obviously the water's coming out.
As it's filling, it's going to go...
Yeah, as it fills, it'll fill, and then water will bleed out, and then you'll crank that down, make sure it's tight. It means there's no water or no air in there.
In the system.
Full of water, so it stays hot. It never loses temperature because there's no air.
And you never get any like farts through your espresso
No,
puck.
exactly. You wouldn't want that. Unless you have, air gaps in your
Water line.
So that's also dangerous for other reasons. So
is that something that you would have to maybe check for every once in a while to like see if over time your boiler has...
No, I don't think so. I not that like we had talked about in the class. It's nothing that was just like you only do this when you first plug in. And technically you're supposed to do it before you connect to electricity, because the brew tank doesn't have a electronic valve. It just comes in based on like the gravity of the water line.
Yeah.
We should be able to fill all the way up, and then you can bleed it. So then you're not spilling water all over your electronics before plugging in, or after plugging in, which would suck if you short something up there. There's a lot of, especially the newer machines, a lot of delicate electronics up there.
So they're valves. I don't know a ton about like valves, but I have a basic understanding of like needle valves and how those work. Does La Marzocco like mostly use needle valves?
No, they're not needle valves. They're
not.
called they're just solenoids, where it's this electromagnet that if no power is supplied to it, it is closed. So no water can pass through to the other side of the valve. So it's like a brass T, and one side goes up into the solenoid, and if it's a three-way solenoid, it has an offshoot at the top to either relieve pressure or have backflush. That's if it's closed, it'll come out of that valve. But when there's power supplied to that solenoid, it'll open up. So the plunger pressing on that point would open up, and now the water will go up into the solenoid and down to the next valve. So if you don't have power, your solenoids aren't going to work, and sometimes they can get stuck, or they just get old and the magnet starts to wear out. Those are super easy to replace.
Nice.
Not super expensive.
Cool. Is there anything like troubleshooting wise that you've learned about maybe that we've been experiencing with our own machines?
Oh yeah, the Slayer in the lab that we have.
Yeah,
makes me like really want to go in there and figure out exactly what's wrong with it.
What do you mean?
One of the elements is burnt out, and we replaced it. And it didn't work. So now I'm thinking that the more I've learned about the electronics of the machine and how electricity has to pass through basically multiple safety checks.
Yeah. Because
you don't want it to short something and blow up something, because your espresso machine could very easily become a bomb if you don't perform regular maintenance on it. You don't want that to happen. There's, especially with newer machines, there's so many, what's the word I'm looking for? Like fail-safe, after fail-safe. For if something goes wrong electronically, there's a mechanical thing that will just start shooting out hot water instead of, because, it's a steam tank, and those can blow up. So, and that would suck if that happened, because that would shoot shrapnel everywhere. And
boiling water
is probably the least of your worries at that point. You don't want a chunk of metal.
Well,
in
it's
your
like if
throat.
I have a chunk of metal in my throat, I also don't want to get burned by hot water.
That's true.
Just kind of be insult to injury.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's good to know that especially newer machines have a lot of fail safes where your machine will just simply stop working before it hurts anybody, which is good.
Huh. Interesting.
Unless you're sticking your hands in the electronics, which do not do.
Yeah. How much of the electronic side of things did you learn a little bit about?
Definitely
how
a lot about that.
Set up
About
their software and how they program things, or more
setting
mechanical?
up programming, but not super back end programming, because obviously they're not trying to super show you how to do that. They also apparently on the newer machines they have kind of like an odometer for the machine that'll tell you the shot counter, and there's a way to reset it, which is so if you're using that as a gauge to tell how old this machine is or how much use it's seen, there's a way to reset it technically. So kind of like resetting the odometer of a car. Very illegal.
It's also illegal on espresso machines too.
I don't know about that.
It's not. It's
I
definitely
don't
not.
think so. But
Huh.
yeah. But yeah, it was cool to see that. So that makes me want to go tackle that Slayer and figure out exactly what the problem is. Because I think it's electronic. Because it could just be where there's something called a solid state relay, which is basically a switch that tells the heating element to turn on or the solenoid to open or whatever, where that could very easily have a short inside. And you just replace one of those, and then maybe that heating element will start working again or something like that. But yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it makes me want to tinker with that. And that's one thing that Keegan recommended is work on a machine. Either get a hobby machine or get like a loaner machine as one thing that, like, if we're getting into servicing equipment, which we are, get a backup machine that works great. It doesn't have to be a brand new machine. It could be something we refurbish, but have that machine to tinker on and get in a working state so you can I can use those skills. And then also to have a loaner machine if somebody's machine goes out, that you can kind of loan them that for a little while you work on theirs if it's a really big problem.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it'd be cool if, like, since you have this kind of understanding now too, like if you could get your hands on a machine for really cheap that needs like a lot of work, then you could do a lot of work on it and
I mean,
have that personal
people
use.
Do that. Like, people do that. You can make a good amount of money just flipping machines, you know, because nobody wants to work on an espresso machine. That's not fun. You know, you got to have understanding of the plumbing, the electrical, and you don't know what you need to replace, but like you could do that. You can get, I mean, especially if you're a technician with Marzocco, you can get parts from them for 50% off. Just replace a bunch of parts in there, and it could be simple. It could be not so simple. You know, if you have a corroded steam tank, then you have to replace that, and that's a bit more expensive. So
I feel like that's kind of common though too.
Yeah, I mean,
like
that's one thing we learned about is that they actually can send out test kits. Marzocco can, and they'll tell you if they're testing your water, they'll tell you exactly what you should do to your water, because if it has a certain amount of sodium or not sodium, but like chloride in the water, it can actually corrode your tank and wear holes in it, which would suck. You know, you don't do that because then that means you got to replace it. You can't, because then there's that corrosive or there's the scale. Scale will just build up. That can block your pipes and whatever. But you just clean that out. You just do an acid wash.
Yeah,
and that's gone.
It's not going to ruin your machine.
Not going to ruin your machine. It'll stop working, but you can fix it.
Yeah.
If you wear a hole in your steam tank, well, then you can't build pressure.
You can't just put a Band-Aid on it.
No, you can't.
Get a new boiler.
You got to get a new boiler.
What are their boiler materials? Like, what do they make their boilers?
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's one thing is that you can actually, if you do the descaling wrong with an acid wash, you can actually wash off that oxidized layer in the stainless steel, and then your regular water can corrode the tank a lot more easier.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a lot of like information thrown around. I'm trying to like keep track of it all, but luckily they have a bit of documentation, and Keegan is always a great help when we reach out to him. He said, like, this is not, you know, we didn't like pass a test. We didn't like all of a sudden we're super ultra certified technicians. We're just,
you just had to learn the basics.
This is starting our journey of technician. So.
Yeah, but do you feel pretty confident that you could troubleshoot a lot of things now?
For sure. Yeah,
cool.
I mean, we've already had a lot of hands-on experience with machines in the cafes, and just, you know, something goes wrong, who else is going to fix it? You know, the technician could be multiple days away, so we got to figure out the problems ourselves. So we've already done a lot of self-diagnosing and kind of figuring out. My dad has a lot of like knowledge when it comes to plumbing and electronics, but I think now with specifically Marzocco telling you a lot of common issues that happen and a lot of things to look for. And the most helpful thing for me was learning about that, like maybe I'll call it like order of operations of where does the water go? Where can the fails happen along the water line?
Yeah.
What can go wrong? Same with the electronics as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's with anything. Like if you're working on a car or something, right? Like you have to know the order that things are happening in to actually troubleshoot.
Yeah. So if water's not coming out of your group head, then you'll know, okay, I'm going to look where the water's coming into the machine. I'll see, okay, there's actually an electronic solenoid here. Let me actually test that, because you use something that we got called a multimeter. You can actually test it and see whether or not when you turn the group head on, are you getting electronic readings? Because if you are, it could be the solenoid's getting physically stuck, or if it's not getting readings, that could be that the the solid state relay is not
something
getting
else
a connection. So,
Yeah. That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're in the Traverse City area, the greater Traverse City area, and you need help on a machine, Jack and Adam can help.
Yeah. I mean, even have like a home espresso machine, like obviously those can be very, very different a lot of the time, but I can provide some helpful insight potentially.
Yeah, they're typically simpler.
Yeah.
No, but sometimes you
don't have that like
stuff.
fancy, like sometimes they have different types of boilers that are not quite the same. But
yeah, a lot of aluminum boilers and stuff. You're gonna have to treat that differently, especially with cleaning. But
yeah. Get your water tested so you don't wear a hole in your machine.
So what kind of water would you, for like anybody at home?
If you have well water, you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
You're going to worry about scale. If you have city water, you might have to worry about corrosive. Chlorine and chloride can, or like salt. If you have salt in your water, which is what the chloride is, that can wear holes in your tank if not done properly.
Okay. What about like distilled water? Is that a problem?
No, it's just that, your coffee's not going to taste great. So,
sure.
And that was one thing that we brought this up with Keegan because I was under the impression that if you had distilled water, like nothing in your water, it would try to leach resources from the tank or the lines, but that's not true.
Nice.
He said he also thought that was the case until he actually had tested it and actually had looked into it more, and it's not true. It won't affect your equipment. It's just your coffee is going to taste empty and blank. So because it needs those resources to balance it.
To balance the acidity and Yep, like we talked about that.
Like with drinking, even if you drank water that's distilled, it tastes boring and flat. You need a little bit of minerals to keep a little bit of flavor.
Well, also, distilled water is like not necessarily great for you.
No,
it doesn't really have anything
you do
in
need
it.
those minerals.
You need the minerals.
You need water, but you also need minerals. So.
Cool.
Yeah, super fun, super great time.
Yeah. How'd Adam do with it?
Great.
He did good.
Yeah, he was a little nervous that like. I was super excited after the first day to get hands-on with the machine because it was sitting and learning. It was from 9 to 5. It was a long day.
Yeah.
But like he was a little nervous. I was a little nervous, but I think he was a little more nervous than I was about like not being able to diagnose the problem. Because the cool thing was after we installed the machine on the second day, he told us, go in the hallway, I'm going to break this machine, and you're going to fix it. You're going to tell me what's wrong with it. So we came back in, and he acted like a customer. He was like, hey, this happened, this happened, this happened. I don't know what to do. So we went in and we diagnosed the machine, which was a lot of fun to kind of like use what we learned and follow the lines and being like, all right, let me test this. Okay, it's not that. Let me test that.
What did he break?
It was a little bit of sabotage because he actually just unplugged one of the electronic contacts on the KB90, which was able to tell if the portafilter's in or not, which it won't pull if there's no portafilter in there. Yeah. So that was a problem. You press the buttons and nothing's coming out.
Interesting.
And
that could be a lot of things.
Yeah, especially with like older machines, it could be something else. But we did, to be fair, we did have a little insight because we were in the hallway for only a certain amount of time. So we know he couldn't have gone in and like disconnected some major electronic component or shorted a solid state relay or something like that. So we know it wasn't that, but it was cool. Like on the left side, pressing the buttons, nothing's coming out. The brew tank was telling you that the temperature was correct. And on the right side, the temperature was not correct and it was dropping rapidly. So that means that because on the KB90 it actually has separate brew tanks, so you can have different temperatures for your water or different pressure profiles.
Every portafilter has.
Yeah, and there was only 2 on that one. But most espresso machines only have 1 brew tank and 1 steam tank that they pull from. Cool. But this one had 2.
Yeah, I mean the potential to even have like a different recipe for different coffees.
Yeah, because you'd have to have 2 different tanks if you want to have different pressures or different temperatures even. Which was cool. But that was dropping, and we had to diagnose why the temperature was dropping. And we, initially we were thinking, something electronic shorted. It's not happening because we could tell that like water was coming in fine, water was filling fine, the heating element was working properly, the high limit reset was not tripped. We were like going to dig into the bottom of the machine and start testing the solid state relay, but he had to stop us because we were going to like tear the machine apart, and he was like, do you really think I had time to go in and short the solid state relay?
Like, hey, don't break this.
Yeah, and I was like, all right. So we went in, and he actually had gone into the menu, the digital menu, and turned off the steam boiler or the brew tank. You just switched it off, which I don't know why that's an option, but maybe if you're using one group head, but that was super simple to fix. But it was just like goes to show that what to look for, because anything can happen. Somebody could accidentally turn their brew tank off and not know what to do, going through that menu.
Well, I feel like those menus are confusing too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. The cool thing about machines like the KV90 and newer is they have like app integration.
That's cool.
Because the menu software is, how it is, built-in menus and things, and
It's
you got weird buttons.
It's simple, so it has to like simple interface, so it has to be like really deep and confusing.
Very rudimentary and a little hard to navigate. But you have the app; it's very beautiful. You can customize almost everything in the app than you can on the machine, which is sweet. And then it's got also like, so you can connect to the internet to upload if you get a new software update for your espresso machine, which is, it's funny. You wouldn't think your espresso machine gets a software update, but they do. Newer ones do.
Why? What are they updating in the software?
Different new features, especially things like the KB90 you have a lot of control over, adding new like controls, new things with like pre-infusion or whatever it may be. One of the things that they have in it is that it's just, because you're connected to the internet, it's very easy for you to track how many shots you're pulling. You can tell, like remotely, if one group head's being used more than the other, kind of a thing.
I know you feel strongly about that.
He actually kind of reinforced how I felt about that like you can actually wear out your machine faster if you prioritize one over the other because of that. So he recommends switching between back and forth to switch which one you're using. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Fixed the machine. It was a good time.
That's cool. That does sound fun.
We've been yapping for a while now.
Yeah.
You have anything else?
No, I wasn't there, so.
I took a lot of notes here because I was nervous I wasn't going to know what I was doing.
Yeah. This coffee, back to this coffee.
Yes.
This is actually really nice on espresso.
Oh, yeah?
I've had it a couple times. I feel like it's almost like that quintessential African coffee on espresso, right? Like you get spiced notes, you get orange, right? Like those classic African coffee tasting notes. It's very good. I also had it straight. Also good and nice Americano. I feel like sometimes those like more bright, vibrant espressos are like nice in that format.
Sweet.
It's good. So, yeah, if you get this
coffee's good.
Try it on espresso.
Yeah.
If you have a machine.
Do it. All right.
If you can see this bag.
So I had a couple of like little trivia questions for you. It's going to make it harder if you push it, because it's going to be more out of focus if you push it closer. Here, do a little list.
Let me shade it.
Look at that. We're profesh.
How's that look? Could you guys see that?
Can you guys? We can't hear you.
Peaberry.
Speak up.
Yeah. What? Huh? Fun fact about Tanzania that I learned, because I was when we were onboarding this coffee, I was just writing a little something for it. And Tanzania exports most of its coffee to Japan. Japan is its number one country that it sends coffee to. And
like Tanzanian coffee over there.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, shout out Simon. Is he back?
I don't know. Let us know if you're back. Drop it. Although this episode's coming out a little later, so he might be back by the time we post this.
Yeah.
So
tomorrow's Memorial Day. So shout out. Hope you guys had a great
if you guys have any
Memorial Day.
Oh yeah. No, wait, you said tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow. Tomorrow for us, not for them.
Yeah. Tomorrow's for us. Yep.
We're like time
Memorial Day will be long gone.
You guys have forgotten about that. It's basically
it's going to be
in full swing.
Yeah, it's going to be busy. So if you're actually if you're watching this episode, this is the version that we're posting if we died. We recorded another version. If you were watching this, if we lived, you'd see the other version. But yeah, we passed away. If you
we should have like a little segment in this that we clip out. Who would clip it out though? Because if I'm dead,
somebody else. Well, the producer Jack.
Oh, sure.
Not producer, editor. I don't know what he does.
I don't think he does anything, honestly.
No.
Slacking off.
Yeah, seriously. What was I saying? Oh, so Tanzania exports most of their coffee to Japan, and in Japan, they don't have a lot of interest in Peaberry coffees. For a long time, they were kind of seen as a undesirable defect, And
Yeah,
in
kind of everywhere they thought that.
Yep. And in the United States, over the last handful of years, there's been a growing interest in them, but that there isn't really that culture in Japan.
Yeah.
And so that's why we largely get Peaberry coffees from Tanzania, is because they're getting all their other coffees to Japan, and then they've got Peaberries left over, and they're like, send them to us.
Yeah,
and this is
if
great.
they're already separating the Peaberries to kind of throw them away, why not just send them to us?
Exactly.
I love a good Peaberry. You know, it's not like I think Peaberry is like the best of the best, but it's cool. It's unique. I love the little round pearl-sized beans. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So I had a trivia question for you because we love trivia. Was coffee? All right, coffee's been around for a while, right?
It has.
Do you think it was ever banned in a country at all, like for any reason?
Banned in a country?
Yeah, like coffee. Why would it be, right?
It's such a funny, vague way to put a trivia question.
I was thinking about this. I didn't really know how else to phrase it, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you could have said, like, in what country? If it was banned.
Well, that's my next
I'm
question,
sure. I'm sure it was. I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, for sure. I'm pretty sure I know that.
Where do you think it was banned?
Where was it banned?
Think about like where coffee originated. Where do you think coffee originated from?
I mean,
at least according to legend.
Generally Ethiopia.
Yeah. So where do you think the coffee was ever banned? It was banned in
Like
a couple of different places.
Just like the consumption of it.
Yeah.
That's tough. The way you're saying it makes me feel like maybe it was banned to drink in Ethiopia.
It's not Ethiopia. No.
Okay, because the way you were saying that was made me think
I guess
that
I meant to phrase it like you think of coffees that had access, countries that had access to coffee first. Like what comes to mind? Do you think?
So like countries that had access to coffee first.
Yeah,
Italy. Is that one of them?
it is.
It is. Okay.
It was banned in Italy.
Interesting. How come?
So it was banned. I wrote it down here. So it was banned in the late 1500s by the cardinals of the Catholic Church. They deemed it. What is it here? Oh, sorry. Catholic clerics. My bad. The bitter invention of Satan is what they called it, and it was banned in Italy for a while until.
Well, that's because they were having all that dark roast espresso.
Yeah, really.
They never had that.
I mean, heck, that is the bitter invention of Satan.
Yeah, Satan
you can quote me on
invented
that.
burning coffee.
But the funny part about that is that the Pope Clement the Eighth, tried it, liked it, and gave it palpable approval. So it's unbanned from there on out.
That's funny, huh?
It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
There's 2 other places that it was banned.
Okay, was it ever banned in like the UK?
No.
Okay. Spain?
No. I'm gonna say it. Sweden. Yeah.
Okay.
In 1746, King Gustav III outlawed coffee and related paraphernalia. I didn't have a lot of detail.
Related paraphernalia,
why.
like as in like
Cups.
like the Kalita Wave 185.
Yeah, way back then, back then they were rocking the 185.
Gooseneck kettles, just
Gooseneck
across
kettles,
the board.
Breville espresso machines.
What's related paraphernalia?
Mugs. Yeah, mugs.
No, are you joking?
Sauce. Yes.
You're joking.
No, I'm not joking.
You're not joking. You banned mugs and saucers?
He banned like coffee and
As in, like
coffee brewing equipment and drinkware. I didn't really find out more. If you know more, let us know. There was not a whole lot on there.
Interesting.
It could have been faked. I don't know. Another place it was banned.
The Instagram comments will let
is
us know
in
if
the
it's fake.
city of Mecca in 1511. It was believed to stimulate radical thinking and political rebellion. So they banned it.
Interesting.
They outlawed it.
Interesting.
Because coffee is stimulating. Makes me want to politically rebel sometimes.
It does make me want to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
And you can quote me on
good
that.
cup of coffee. You can measure a good cup of coffee based on how much it makes you want to overthrow the government. Right?
Yeah.
That's great. That's good. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was a little interesting thing I learned.
Yeah.
That like you wouldn't think that you would ban coffee, but I guess it's the bitter invention of Satan.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me that the Pope tried it and was like, all right, guys.
He's like, actually,
You guys are holding out on the people. Come
low-key
on.
buzz.
Satan was low-key cooking with this one. No.
It
is not.
So.
Besides dark roast, maybe you could classify that as. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you're ready, I have another thing.
Yeah. Hit me.
Can you guess what the top coffee drinking country per capita is? I know we
Coffee
did
drinking
states
country.
recently of the United States, but what country drinks the most coffee per capita?
Okay. The United States is the number one consumer of coffee in the world. Yeah.
but not per capita. We have a lot
not
of
per
people.
capita. Okay. Per capita. Interesting.
We consume more coffee. We buy more coffee.
Yeah.
Consume more coffee.
Like volume.
We have a lot of people. But per capita, we're actually pretty low.
Interesting.
We're not even in the top 10.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's surprising to hear,
Yeah.
especially based on the fact that we consume the most.
We consume the most, but we have a heck ton of people.
I guess we do have a heck ton of people. Okay, per capita. I'm trying to think of countries that enjoy coffee. Like coffee is there's a huge coffee tradition in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like in Europe and in like Northern Europe, too. I feel like there's a pretty big coffee culture in Japan, but it might not be like big enough. Like like tea might be a bigger deal.
Yeah, this might not be a hint,
really
but I'll
tough.
give you a hint. At number 3, Ben Law is going to be super stoked about.
Okay, so
Not that it may not be. There's probably 2 different countries you're thinking of, maybe.
oh, is Iceland one of them?
Iceland is number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3 per capita. You got to think it can be a small country.
Yeah.
But everybody.
Yeah, 'cause there's not a lot of
coffee. Then it's going to bring their numbers
Yeah,
up.
that makes sense. It's the whole cold Michigan thing, but
Exactly.
like accelerated
Yeah.
because there's like not very many people and it's
Yeah.
freezing.
So you think about that. The same thing applies. Is the environment.
Yeah.
The climate, I
Mhm.
should say.
Well, also I feel like there is a pretty large like specialty coffee movement in like some of Northern Europe and,
Yep.
and like Iceland.
So do you have a guess for number 1 slot here?
Number 1 slot
Yeah.
per capita. I'm almost going to say Norway.
It is Norway.
Is it Norway?
Look at that. You're 2 for 2.
That's
guessing
crazy.
The top coffee.
Okay.
And
So
how
Norway,
many cups do they drink? Would you
How many
say?
cups?
Yeah.
Per person?
Per person.
Is this a day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Calculated based on per year. But
Okay. If they're number 1 spot, 4.
4.3.
4.3.
Yeah, it's really close.
That's crazy.
It's really good. I know they drink, and that was actually, I was wanted to ask you this question based on the comments we got from the other video we posted about that Michigan drinks the most coffee, and people were like Norway, or a couple other countries they were spitting out that they drink so much coffee over there, which is true. Like they're putting us Americans to shame. You know, in Michigan we drink just over 2.5 cups per day per person. Which is
That's so interesting.
lame.
Okay.
Bring those numbers up.
So Norway's number 1.
Yes.
Iceland is number 3.
Iceland is number 3.
So number 2. Oh,
Wait, hold on. What did you say again? For number 1?
Norway.
I'm getting mixed up. No, it's not Norway. Dang it. That's number 2.
Oh, Norway's number 2.
Norway's number 2 at 3.5 cups. So somebody else.
Oh,
is
you said
4
somebody
point-
else 4 point. Okay.
Somebody else is 4.3. I'm
Okay,
sorry
okay.
for who
Really
these
threw this
people
off.
are. I'll mention you later, but I apologize for disrespecting you. You guys are on top here. You guys are doing a great job.
All right. So Norway's number 2.
Norway's number 2.
Iceland is number 3 in
Yes.
the world per capita coffee consumption. Okay, number 1. So I thought I nailed the number 1, and now it's down to the number 1, and there's like way more pressure.
Yeah. You can start guessing the other ones. You still have number 4 and number 5 you don't know yet.
Oh, we're going top 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have
okay.
Top 5 listed and their
Okay.
cups drank. You want to guess like how many cups
I'm
per
going to
day
throw
that-
Germany out there.
It's
Are they
not
on this
Germany.
list?
No.
They're not top
No.
5. Okay. Because I feel like they have a pretty developed coffee culture as well.
Yeah. All of these top 5 drink 3 cups, or I'm going to say over 3 cups per person per day.
Okay. Is Finland one?
Finland is number 1.
Finland's number 1.
The Finnish drink
That's crazy.
4.3 cups of coffee per person per day. They drink a lot
That's
of coffee. over
crazy.
there. I know.
Northern Europe is just like
Just all
slamming the
over that.
Joe.
Yeah, just. I mean, think about that. You know, they're pretty far north.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cold. Got to drink some coffee for those long winters. So you got Finland number 1, Norway number 2, Iceland number 3. What is number 4?
Okay. Honestly, like, is there more in Northern Europe, like Denmark?
That is it.
Is it?
Is number 4. Yeah.
Dang.
You're guessing like all of these. The only one you've guessed so far that isn't on this list is Germany.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure Germany's up there though. But
Okay. So am I still in Northern Europe for number 5?
yeah.
Okay.
I was like, think my geography in my head there. I was like, I used to be so good at geography, but
Okay.
countries
Well,
change
honestly,
all the
okay.
time.
Okay.
Can you
I
be
might.
Well, not 5 for 5. It'd be 5 for 6 because you guessed 6 to, or no. I don't know.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to. What?
This is a lot riding on this, Nick.
Yeah,
I get this right.
Well, I know, and I'm like trying to think about Greenland. Is that technically Europe?
I don't think
so.
In North America.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so it's not. It's not Greenland because I was
but
like,
that's not your official guess.
no, it's not my. That was just like a random thought.
Because
there's not very many.
Nobody lives there.
Exactly.
That's true.
That's why I
It's
was
per
like,
capita.
that's why I was weighing it, but it's not in
Canada is top 10.
Is it?
Is 10th place actually?
That makes sense. Well, where's the United States rank on that?
I actually didn't look, but it's not top 10.
No, oh yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
we're
You
like
said not
probably
10.
like 12 or 13 or something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So
Okay. Is it like the UK? Do they drink a lot of coffee?
no, and they do, but it's not them.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, you should tell me. You should just tell
It
me.
is the Netherlands.
Oh, the Netherlands.
3 cups exactly.
The
per
nether
person.
regions.
Yes.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, congrats to the
Nice.
Finnish for 4.3 cups of coffee per day. I aspire to be you guys. I try every day to bring those numbers up, but I'm never in these surveys that take this. So are they surveys just real, or are they just like making up numbers? They're like, the Finnish seem like they drink.
Are they
4.3
like
cups.
self-reporting? They're just like, hey, give us a number.
Well, I drink 4.3.
Yeah, they're just half these times
Yeah.
are making them up. But that's so interesting that Northern Europe has like I know that they have a very probably one of the most developed coffee cultures in the world.
I mean, that's
there's a
pretty
reason.
impressive.
There's a reason that like there's a light roast called the Nordic style.
Yeah.
Because they really like really bright,
They like
really light
flavor.
coffees.
light coffee.
I mean, far lighter than we roast.
No.
That's interesting. That's super cool.
Yeah, we'll have to try some Nordic coffee sometime.
Yeah.
If you guys know any good Nordic coffee roasters,
Yeah.
well,
April.
or Nordic style. Yeah, April. Any other ones?
Shout out Ben Law again.
Shut up and law.
You'll
again?
never see this. You'll never see this.
Not unless I clip it and tag him.
Yeah,
Could do.
you could, but that would be too
Expose
easy.
him.
That'd be too easy. That's like spoon feeding him.
Yeah,
he's got to watch the last
it's
episode.
like a scavenger hunt, but you hand them the treasure.
Yeah,
Like why?
that's
would you
just
do that?
not any fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Oh man, I'm trying to think of. There's some European shops that have had some coffees from. I think they're in Germany though. There's the Barn. I'm pretty sure that's in Germany.
Yes, it is.
Do you know where A Matter of Concrete is?
I have no idea what that is. Never heard that before.
I can't remember. I feel bad that I actually don't remember what country that's in. But that's
Let us
also
know.
it's in Northern Europe.
Yeah,
I had some good coffee from them as well.
makes me want to go there. I mean, I always do. I want to go to Europe.
Yeah.
I've never been, but
Like go to a place where like
they take their coffee seriously than we, more seriously than we do.
yeah, I'd have some interest in doing like a coffee tour of Japan as well.
Yeah.
They have some really cool, really beautiful shops
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. I know. We need to be prepared next time for when somebody asks what recommendations we have, because we didn't have any for. Shout out Simon again, for Simon when we went there, because, well, for one, I've never been to Japan and I don't know a whole lot about the coffee scene over there.
No, I know
Right.
there's like a good coffee scene.
I know
but
a little
don't
bit of
anything
coffee
about it.
scene in Australia.
Mhm.
I might have a recommendation for somebody.
Yeah.
I looked into it because I've heard about a few. There's just coffee all over.
Yeah, I
Coffee
mean,
is pretty cool.
if Doug Weber's living in Japan, they've got to have some good access to coffee out there.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder where Japan ranks on this list, because they've got a lot of people.
It's a loud plane.
But you think about it, the more people you have, the less likely you are to have.
Yeah,
people
I
drinking
know that like of the coffee that they have there, they have a pretty developed coffee culture, but also like tea is such a huge staple in Japan.
Exactly, and they're not. The
Kind of
climate's not
like it's very
cold,
traditional.
So, but
Yeah.
cool.
Huh. That's cool. Well, anything else?
Shout out Nick's new haircut. Looks great.
Oh yeah, thanks. If you're an audio listener, you already saw it, but yep, just felt like it. I don't know. It'll grow back.
Wait, what'd you say about audio listeners?
Yep, the audio listeners already know, but
How did they already? You mean the video listeners?
no. I meant what I said.
How?
You can hear it. What are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about?
Do something for the audience. Just like. That's not long hair. If you can't tell.
No, you can tell.
That is short hair. Like, listen. That's long hair right there. That's
Well, that was a head scratch.
Yeah.
All right. That was weird. Cool. Thanks for listening, guys.
That flew by. I feel like we like just sat down
It did.
and talk.
Yeah, I hope that was
And
interesting.
now
I hope that was
we're here.
interesting.
Yeah, if it wasn't, comment. I'm bored. But if you made it this far, you're probably interested.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and let us know if you guys want to know more about, especially like machines. Like there's a large mechanical world to be explored with coffee equipment that I find very interesting. I don't know that much about, only kind of what I've had to learn practically from my own stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot to know about that.
It's
And
like
it's pretty fun.
everything in the coffee industry. There's always more to learn, and that's why it's so much fun, because there's so many things about it. So many facets.
That's something that's so cool about coffee is like you can do almost any trade and find your niche in coffee, which is really cool.
You can be as in-depth or as surface level as you want to be with coffee. You could just go and get a cappuccino at your favorite shop and not even ask what kind of coffee it is. Or you can go in and be replacing boilers on espresso machines or something crazy. So
there's spots for the culinarily inclined and the engineers and the farmers and all of that. It's pretty hype.
Coffee's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah. All right.
That's episode 13. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Peace.